Hello and welcome back to the Turtle Wins the Race Home-Based Business Podcast. My name is Kara Buntin and I've owned a home-based business since 1999, so that's what we talk about here. Now today I have a few examples of presentation, and this is kind of a branding thing. And I said I would talk about branding on my other channel. I'm not a branding expert, so I'm not really going to do that, but I am going to talk about how you present yourself online, how you present yourself in the world as far as your business goes. And, just being aware that you have to kind of show up in a different way depending on who you're talking to. And part of it is kind of understanding your audience. Part of it is understanding how you present your products to the marketplace and how that actually will make people want to pay more for your stuff. And the reason that I was thinking about this, number one, I had a shredding day, right? I had a shredding moment and I'm like, I just need to do something that's not business related. So I'm going to get rid of that big pile of shredding that I have that's sitting there. And I had given one shredder away, but I realized I had an extra one because I like shredders, I guess. I don't know. I was using it for something a long time ago. But I found as I was going through these piles of papers, I just pulled stuff out of a filing cabinet. And a lot of them were my papers from college and grad school, because don't we all have those lying around, right? But there were a few resumes in there. And I thought these were interesting because at first I thought, there's a lot of stuff on here that just sounds, how you kind of write things on a resume to make it sound more important than it is. But I'm reading this and I'm like, I really did all this stuff. So none of it is fake. It's all true. But they're all framed in very different ways. And they're 3 resumes. They're all written within the same 5 or 6 year period. One of them this one is clearly when I graduated from grad school and I was looking for a job doing something in that field. And it has all my clinical experience, all my classwork and the names of the college and that kind of stuff. And at the very bottom, it mentions in one little pair, 3 lines, the job that I did at the department store where I was a sales manager. So it's there, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, and then I did this. But the vast majority of it is stuff that relates to my program and the clinical training that I had in psychology, because that's who I was talking to, apparently, with this resume. And I don't remember I don't know what I was doing. I can't remember that far back specifically. But these are the 2 that I found the most interesting. It has the same address. It has the same job kind of stuff on it. One of them is really specific to the job I did at the department store. Like the whole thing, it has nothing about my education except just at the very bottom it says, this is where I went to college, by the way. But the whole thing is about my job at the department store and specifically what I did. And I think I'm trying to remember back. I mean, this is how long ago? Oh my God. This is 35 years ago. I'm old. But I'm trying to remember why I would have written this resume, and I don't know. And I think probably I was at the point where I was deciding whether I wanted to stay with that company, which by the way was Jordan Marsh in Boston. And if you ever lived in Boston or anywhere near there, then you know Jordan Marsh, okay? Just for the New Englanders there. So I was a sales manager at Jordan Marsh in Downtown Crossing, and it goes in excruciating detail, like what I did in that job. So I think that I was trying to decide whether I was going to go back to grad school full time or continue with the company and get another job, just keep moving up the corporate ladder. And I didn't want to do that. I was like, you feel like you should do that, but it wasn't in me. I didn't want to do that job. I kind of fell into that job and I learned a lot, but it wasn't what I had planned on doing with my career. So I think that's what this is about. It's full of facts. It's full of numbers. It's full of percentages of things that I increased sales this month. I managed this many people. I did this, that, So I think that this was like an in-house kind of resume for a job with the company. Okay. Now, this one was written around the same time because it does have that experience on it, and it doesn't have my grad school information on it, so I hadn't gone to grad school yet. But it also includes the things that I did in college for my work-study job. It includes my first job directly out of college, which was not at the department store. And it includes the stuff that I did as an assistant manager at the department store when I first started there. So I think that this is a more general resume for someone who is not in Jordan Mosh and who wouldn't know the stuff in this one. They would say, well, I don't know about, what's that acronym mean? What does that mean? Because there's a lot of kind of in-house acronyms and things like that in this one. So I think that these were two resumes that I wrote at the same time. I had the same work experience, same history, but I was going for different audiences. Okay, so you have to present yourself. I had to present myself in a specific way for different audiences because they weren't interested. The people who were not in department store management or fashion buying or whatever do not care about the, what is this? The ETP program and the DSMs and the GMs. They don't care about that. People at the department store did. These people, just in the general public, would not. They wouldn't even know what that meant. So I started thinking about presenting yourself and how that relates to branding and how a lot of people, I hate to say this. No, I don't. I hate to say this, but I really don't, is that a lot of people don't seem to have a handle on their branding. And I think it's probably hurting your sales. Because when you're talking to a group of people, and when I say talking to, I don't mean like literally talking to them. I mean, when you're saying, here's my website, here's my shop, regardless of where you're selling, whether it's Etsy or Go Imagine or Amazon or your website or whatever, you need to present yourself. You need to present your business in a way that reflects the price point that you want to receive for your products, the quality that your products contain, right? And it matters. This stuff matters. And think about having, this is a good example, all right? I think it is. I'm going to give it to you anyway. So think about if I said to you, you can choose a watch from this group of watches. I have 50 watches over here and you get to choose one. And I point to a table. It's like the flea market. They're all piled on top of each other. They're jumbled up. They're not sorted out. You'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. Now, if I said, I have these watches and you can choose one, and you walk into a room that's full of pedestals with glass cases, and each watch is in an individual glass case on a little stand by itself, and there's a light shining on each of them, you'd be psyched, right? Because your perception as you walk into that room is that these are special. These are special just because of how they're presented. It's the same watches that are all jumbled up on that table over there. But there's no way, if I said to you, I want $5,000 for one of these watches, you might actually think that that was a good price if they're presented in that way in that room with the stands and the lights and the glass cases. If I told you I want $5,000 for one of these watches and they're all jumbled up on a flea market table, you would laugh at me. You would say there's absolutely no way. Same products, different presentation. And it's the same thing with your business. That's basically your branding, is the mood, kind of the feeling that you want people to get. The branding isn't your logo and your colors and your fonts. That's part of it, but they all work together to give people the feeling and the mood and the kind of the vibe. You know, I say that's a current word, but people were using that in the 70s, right? To give the people the vibe of your business, like the feeling. What feeling does your business evoke in people? That's your branding. And I see people make this mistake a lot, that they are selling high-end jewelry, and I go to their shop and it looks like the colors and the way that the stuff is presented, it looks like the thrift store, or Claire's jewelry at the mall, which is where all the teenage girls go to get their ears pierced, right? It's plastic. It's not expensive. If that's your price point, then you should be, look, if you're asking a higher price for your stuff, you need to present it in a way that justifies that price. And think of the difference between the jumble up table and the stuff in the glass cases. That's what I'm talking about. If you have a lower price point, then your branding, your tone should be more playful. And it could be the higher end, it could be high end, and then you're charging $10 for something. But that wouldn't really make sense either, because then people are going to be confused. And honestly, they've done studies where they kind of flash something on the screen for half a second. And you can tell from that 1/2 of a second if it's an expensive website or a cheap website. You get the feeling just from that one tiny bit of information that you have about the website. So you need to understand, number one, how do you want to present your products to people, and what do you have to do that? And like I said, I'm not a branding expert. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it. You know it when you see it, right? And you can look this up. But I think people, when you talk about branding, they get stuck on fonts and the logo. You can waste so much time looking at logos. Okay, your logo should be boring. It should be basic. It should be something that you can use in multiple places. It shouldn't have a ton of words on it, just like a little image. Think of the Nike swoosh. Think of the Coca-Cola with the little wave in the middle of the circle. You know, it doesn't have to be super fancy, because you want to use it in different sizes and different places. And then you can have different variations of it. You can put words in some of them. You can take words out. But you don't have to like wait to build a business until you have a logo. Just start building it. But be conscious of how you're presenting yourself. And it's the same thing when you go online. Right now, this is even more difficult these days because people fake so much. And I talked about that a couple weeks ago in this podcast. People fake so much that it's hard to kind of figure out what's fake and what isn't. You just need to be careful of how you present yourself online. And I just thought of this. A good example of this is people's Pinterest accounts, because I look at a lot of Pinterest accounts when people are starting up. And one of the things in my Pinterest class, the first thing is clean up your account. And number one, you have to have a business account on Pinterest if you want to, sell as a business. You don't have to, but it's better because you get analytics. But if you have a business Pinterest account, you shouldn't be putting things in it that don't relate to your business. And that's a branding thing. That's a perception thing. So oh my God, I'll tell this story. I had someone who I worked with who was not good with Pinterest. And they came to me and said, can you help me clean up my boards? Because I'm not sure how to get rid of this one. And it was basically just a board full of sexy men. Okay. And yeah, you have that. If you want a board on Pinterest full of good looking guys, feel free, but don't put it on your business account. Unless it relates to your business in some way. I don't know what that would be. Maybe if you have like a workout account or something, I don't know, or other things. But you want to make sure that everything in your business account reflects your business the way that you want people to see it. Okay, so people say, oh, well, I have all these recipes in this board. Do I have to get rid of them? I'm like, yeah, just make that board secret. It shouldn't represent your business, what you want to eat for dinner. That shouldn't be in your Pinterest account if it's a business account. Make a personal account, put that all over there. That's great, but not on your business account. Because it's presentation. You have to think about and they call this like what's forward facing to the public? What does the public see about your business? And there's a lot of things they're not going to see, but what is forward facing? What are the things that they see? And you want to be conscious of that. And I will end this with the story of David Muir, who is the ABC anchor. He's the newscaster who sits and reads the news every night on the ABC Nightly News. And they have branded him very well. They have branded him with his wardrobe for different situations. And I noticed this a few years ago. This has been quite a while, and I've watched it's very funny to watch, because when he's at the news desk and he's reading the news, and he's at work, he's serious, he wants to be respected and believed, he wears a suit and a tie. Okay? And it's usually a dark suit. I don't think I've ever seen him in a light colored suit. As I think about this, it's always a dark suit, because that is kind of in people's minds, that shows like professionalism and seriousness. He's serious. So when he's at work and he's reading the news, suit and tie. Now, there are moments where he goes out into like the world and interviews people. But depending on where he's going, they dress him differently. And he's not doing this. This is not his choice. He's not doing this. They're telling him what to wear. So when he's sitting behind the desk, being serious, suit and tie. When he's gone out into the world to talk to people, or I think that there's like a true crime show that he's the co-host of, and he doesn't do much except kind of read the intro. And he's always holding papers. See, he holds papers to show he has evidence of this. That's the signal for that. But he's wearing a suit but no tie at that point. So he still has the white, dress shirt. He's got the suit, no tie. His collar's open a little bit. It's a little more casual, but he still has a suit because he's still being serious. Right. So depending on the situation that they send him to, it will either be suit with the tie. Now, generally it's not. Maybe if he's interviewing a politician or something, it'll be suit and tie. If he's out talking to just someone at a factory or something like that, it could be the suit with the white shirt with no tie and the collar's open. It's a little casual, but he's still being professional. Or it could be a black t shirt and jeans. Now, the black t shirt and jeans is a signal that I'm here with the common man and I'm here I'm going into action now. And I really understand you and I empathize with you because this is what normal people wear, right? So it's very predictable. And then sometimes they send him to a war zone and he has a flak jacket, but that's just for personal safety. Right. But when you see that black t-shirt and the jeans, he's getting down in the dirt with the rest of us, basically. And I think it was last month. It was about a month ago when that boat rammed into the bridge and took the bridge down in Maryland. That was a mess. And I saw in the commercial it said, "Tonight David Muir reports live from the scene." And I said to my husband, I know what he's going to be wearing. He's going to have the black t-shirt and the jeans, but it's also a little chilly, so they're going to give him a jacket, but it's not going to be the suit jacket. It will be like an LL Bean kind of outdoor rugged jacket to show that he's there with the workers, because they're not going to dress him up in a jacket. They're going to give him like a jacket. So sure enough, the news came on. Here's David Muir at the scene. There he is in his black t-shirt. He's got the LL Bean outdoor jacket on, and he's talking to the guys with the construction hats. These are, they probably did not want to talk to him. They're like, we have work to do. But when he's in situations like that, that's how he's presenting himself. If you showed up in a suit and tie to a situation like that, those guys would just laugh at you. They would be rolling their eyes going, why are you here? You're wasting our time. He shows up to try to blend in, try to make them feel like he's one of them, which he's not. But that's the presentation. All right. So next time you watch the news, think about that. Watch for that. And this is very common. Everybody has a wardrobe stylist in Hollywood. They all do it. It's nothing new. It's nothing different, but it is kind of funny to see. But you have to be aware of how you're presenting yourself and how your audience is going to read that, because it matters. So give this video a thumbs up, leave me any questions and comments, and I will talk to you later.